Okay guys, so the latest episode of Star Wars Rebels just dropped online, and this is going to be a little quick semi-spoiler filled review for you. Yeah, so obviously if you've seen it, you know what we're going to start off talking about. The opening shot, we get the classic Imperial shuttle landing with all of the stormtroopers lined up as we've seen Vader and the Emperor do in many shots in the in the original trilogy. But it's not Palpatine or Vader that comes walking down the plank. We get the return of Tarkin. Now Tarkin we saw a little bit of in the Clone Wars, which I'm about halfway through season 6 now. So I'm not sure if he shows up anymore in the rest of the season or what goes on there. But yeah, so they've aged him a little bit, about 5 years. So yeah, he is basically sent there to kind of help them, crush the Rebel Alliance, or the startings, the pockets of rebellion that are starting to spring up. And he kind of gives a little talk about that, how there's a lot of little factions of rebels popping up all over the galaxy, but as long as they can't communicate and really form an alliance, then they should be able to crush them pretty easily. But he was also saying the reason that he was here after our main characters is because they showed promise as far as being able to really put a dent in the Empire. Whether it be through their strategy or their communication and leadership. So they recognize that this group of rebels is a threat, which is a little bit different from the Tarkin we saw in the original trilogy, who vastly underestimates the rebels, and then it ultimately leads to him getting blown up on the Death Star. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the original trilogy. So yeah, but anyways, so the story continues with the rebels trying to send out a communication by hijacking like an Imperial tower, like a transmission tower, and they're successful to an extent, but then at the end we see that Kanan has to basically sacrifice himself. Not in, he doesn't die, spoiler alert, he doesn't die, but he does kind of lock himself out of the tower so that the others can escape, and then ultimately become a prisoner of Tarkin's and the Inquisitor. So yeah, and then there was a really cool scene where he fought the Inquisitor for a little while. And the Inquisitor even acknowledges that he's gotten better since the last time they fought, and then he must have been training. So that was kind of cool to see him progress a little bit, because we're seeing a lot of Ezra's progression, especially becoming a Jedi. So it's nice to kind of see that Kanan is also becoming a better Jedi Master, through training Ezra. But yeah, ultimately there was just a lot of really cool scenes and shots throughout the the whole episode. The story, I wouldn't really say was the greatest, but it just really had that feel, that old school Empire Strikes Back, like Tarkin is a bad dude feel to it. So I really like that. So ultimately I would give this episode a 9 out of 10. Especially that opening scene gave me chills, seeing the Imperial shuttle land and have all the stormtroopers and pilots and everybody lined up like that, and then you see the gangplank or whatever it's called lower, and then out walks Tarkin. That was really cool. So I definitely like in Rebels all of the, I don't even want to call them cameos, but just how they're really incorporating and giving you little glimpses at all the characters from the original. Sorry about that, I had a little technical difficulty, aka the battery in the camera died. Yeah, So anyways, like I was saying, I would give this episode a 9 out of 10 because it's awesome. You know, the story, like I said, doesn't quite, you know, there's nothing spectacular to it. It's pretty straightforward. It's nothing so imaginative that you just can't fathom how they came up with it. The rebels attack the tower. You know, Tarkin comes in with the Inquisitor and they capture Kanan. But still, like I said, just seeing Tarkin come back was just really cool and really brought it up to a 9 and gave it that old school original trilogy feel. And like I was saying before the camera died, I really like how they're incorporating and giving glimpses at all the original trilogy characters. You know, whether it's Vader in the very first episode or special or whatever you want to call it, you know, even if it was a hologram. And then we see Lando, and we see Yoda, or we hear Yoda, and then now we've got Tarkin. So, I mean, I'm not sure if this series is going to end up being better than the Clone Wars, because right now the Clone Wars is really surprising me with some of their episodes. Although I still really, not to get too into the Clone Wars, but I still really hate that episode where they had the goofy planet with the different people that represented the Force, like the Force gods, and there was a brother and a sister, and they had to balance each other out. That storyline came out of nowhere. I don't know how that became canon, but I guess it's canon now, so we'll just try to put it out of our minds. But yeah. Anyways, like I said, I really enjoy seeing all these characters, and it really, you know, grounds this this series and makes it feel even more like Star Wars than it already did. And it already did feel like Star Wars. The new characters that we're getting, they do have that New Hope, you know, rebellious, kind of semi-dysfunctional family feel and appeal that the original characters had, you know. Han, Luke, and Leia. So that's really cool. And Lando, and Chewie, and R2, and C-3PO, of course. But yeah, not a whole lot else to say about it. Definitely watch it if you hadn't seen it, just to see Tarkin and just for some of the cool visuals. Again, shout out to the sound design of these episodes. I'm sure they're pulling a lot of stuff, if not all of it, from, you know, the movies, especially the original trilogy. But still, it's really well done, well thought out. And yeah, you gotta check it out. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.